Hi guys, my name is Kostas, and today we're going to be creating this guy here, the Dragonman. The concept was provided by Peter from 3D.sk, and today I'm going to show you how to model the guy. So, first we're going to start with modeling planes in 3D Studio Max. We shut down this viewer application, and we go into Max, and to the front viewport, and create a plane. We reduce the length and width segments. Now we want to add the concept art as a texture in order to use it as a guide. We apply it. We change the wireframe to smooth and highlights, and then we show it. And now you can see it's skewed. So we use a UVW map modifier, and we select bitmap fit and select it again, and now the size is correct. So we're going to adjust the plane to better fit it. That's nice. And now we're just going to center it. Now that we have this set up, we're just going to save it out. Save as. We're going to go to our projects folder and just say Dragonman 1. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create the base box for the head. The box we're going to create is a special type of box. We just go to box, and we're going to give it some specific segments and which are going to help us out when we're going to model the face. We can make it see-through by pressing Alt X, and turn on the wireframe by pressing F4, and we can change the length segments to 6, and the width segments to 3, and the height segments to 3. Well, it's height because we drew it from the front viewport. Now, anyway, the idea here is that we're going to be creating some cavities that are going to help us with the mouth, nose, and eyes. So, in order to do this, we just go to the Modify panel, convert this to an editable poly, and just start moving the vertices around to match up with the character. And you can see I'm only bothering with half of the face because that's what I'm going to use, because we're going to use a Symmetry Modifier. Now, in order to make things easier, I'm going to select the Rotate tool, R on your keyboard, E on your keyboard, and I'm going to just turn on the angle snap toggle and shift rotate it on the y-axis, and I get a copy which I'm going to turn into an instance, and I'm going to move this onto the side, onto the other face. And what I do on this model will happen on this model, and vice versa. And that's really useful because instead of having one model and going from viewport to viewport, I can change things in one viewport and save a few clicks. Now that we have this set up, we just go here and save as, press the plus button, and we've got a Dragonman 2 file. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to roughly start shaping out the head from both sides until we have something acceptable, and then we're going to go into the eyes. go into the top viewport in order to make things a bit more rounded. And this is just a rough stage. We don't expect it to be perfect now. We just want to make some rough forms pop out. And I'm going to apply the Symmetry Modifier in order to get a better idea of what's happening. And you can see we have rough face shape. The eyes are going to go here, the mouth is going to be here, the ear is going to go here, and we're going to extrude the neck out and then continue on the rest. But first I'm going to select everything and give them a smoothing group so we don't have those edges. And basically all I'm doing here is just fitting the model roughly on the shape of the background here, and making it kind of round, more organic than a box. As you can see, I'm roughly following the landmarks in the sketch. And now that I've done this, I'm just gonna extrude the neck. You just select the bottom faces and extrude, and then we're gonna scale in the z-axis to make it a bit more manageable, and then extrude once more. And then I'm going to go here from the side and extrude these deltoids. Now I'm going to just change the wireframe color to black, and because there's no material, the model is going to be black. And then I'm going to give it the model's a gray material, a default gray material. in order to see things better. Now, as you can see, we've got a very low polyform here, roughed out. Before I go any further, I'm just going to save this out as Dragonman 3, and I'm going to add a Turbosmooth Modifier onto the model in order to visualize what will happen to the model further down the road. I'm going to just delete the faces below the neck, and I'm going to use the window crossing selection mode, and this means that whatever is completely enclosed in my selection will be selected, like this. Whatever isn't completely in the selection will not be selected. Normally it would be whatever is in the selection. Okay. Now I'm just going to do some minor modifications, but I'm going to turn on show end result, and this will show you a smoother version of what's going to happen, or what's happening. You can see the orange lines, which are called the cage. And this is what I move in order to make the model, but in a higher res form. And this is my rough model, which basically has all the cavities I need, all the faces I need to create the loops I need further down the road. And now, just before we collapse the model, I'm just going to make some insets at strategic points. I'm going to first unhide everything and make this model see-through. And I'm going to select the face on the eye and do an inset. And you can see that in the high-res Turbosmooth version of the model, I have created some edge loops here. These are going to be useful for the eye. And I'm going to do the same here for the mouth. Inset. And I've got some edge loops around here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse everything by converging to editable poly. Delete this guy and create him again. Now you can see the features match up better. The mouth is exactly here, the eyes are exactly here, and I'm going to be able to create the rest. Now this guy has a slight problem. The distance from the front of his face to the back of his face is too small. He's kind of squashed. So I'm just gonna drag him out a bit, and here comes the fun part. We're just gonna turn on soft selection, use soft selection, and now when I select a vertex, you can see that some colors appear. Red represents 100% of my action, and blue 0%. Well, white is 0, but blue is colder. red is hotter, and by using this I can move things proportionally. So I can make his neck thicker, his head bigger. Instead of moving a bunch of vertices, I just select a few, use soft selection, adjust it, and move it up. Now, in order to make the mouth cavity, I'm first gonna shape it a bit, and again I'm gonna be focusing more on one side of the face. Scale and rotate also use soft selection, so I can do things like this. And I make a rough mouth shape. And I also adjust the eye a bit, move the cheekbone out a bit, and adjust his jaw a bit. I'm just gonna add the symmetry modifier on top again so you can see what's happening, and we can see if the seam has problems, like here. You just select them, and with the toggle show end result, just move it to the side. And in order to make things simpler, because I can understand what's happening but it may not be visible in the video, I'm just gonna delete half of the model and make it slightly simpler to follow. I also think his head needs some mass on the side. And you can see the facial characteristics are shaping out quite easily. And this is of course the way I create a base face. I don't do this every time I model. I do this once and then I reuse the same thing again and again. And now I'm going to create the mouth cavity. So I'm just going to use the extrude tool, selecting the faces here and moving them inwards and then inwards again. And then I'm going to bring them, if you go from the front viewport and turn off the symmetry, you can see they've moved into the other side because of the normal direction. I'm just going to move it here, and I'm going to do the same for the previous loop, and I'm going to delete the faces here. Now, might not seem like much now, but of course we will be adding another Turbosmooth, and this is how we're going to make a nice looking mouth. and here's the simple mouth version. You can see it doesn't have CG sharp edges. It's quite smooth. And as we move forward, I'm going to be shaping the and as we move further, I'm going to be shaping the lips further, etc. You can see the corner of the eye here, you can see the cheekbone, and here is where I'm going to extrude out the nose, and I'm going to fill out the chin a bit. Then I'm going to extrude out the ear. Before we move forward though, I'm going to just save this out. As you can see, I'm saving quite often, and you should do the same. And of course, I've turned on auto back, which is from here, customize preferences, files, and I've used a huge amount of auto back files, 99, and I save every 2 minutes. And now I'm just going to move into the eye area and use the bevel tool to bevel inwards once, then reselect, bevel inwards one more time, and I'm going to move some vertices around here. And you can see that with just a few modifications, I shape the face more. And since we're going to be using this level of detail, not this one, we're going to be getting a few more vertices to modify the face more. This is it for now. I'm going to just save this out. And we'll continue with the next step, which will be adding even more detail, the ears, then the horns, then the scales, and the nose, of course, which we've still left blank. Thank you for following.